Welcome to Aries Trading. Friday the 13th. Fade the rips, buy the dips. Blood in the streets. Aries Trading 2020. Aries Trading 2020. Friday the 13th. Blood in the streets. 2020, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, 2020. Limit up. Friday the 13th, Aries Trading 2020. Blood in the streets. Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing? Well, so exactly as anticipated, we limited up. So we did see a little bit of sell-off here. So you can see we had closed yesterday. Closed a little bit weak as we kind of thought we would fade off there, and then once we opened up, it tried to pop up, and then it just immediately sold off with with a lot more of the negative news that was coming out. Kind of expected. We did hit a low all the way down, which is we broke 2,400, which is just absolutely absurd. And I'm sure some of you saw the post I put in Discord showing the it was the 5-year chart on SPX, but with that black line, and we literally were right, just knocking on the door of those lows. So we were down into December 2018 lows, and so we hit that low of 2380. And then a lot of news. What's going on, and you guys can look in Discord. I posted is Europe was absolutely on fire, absolutely just green as it can get. They did ban short selling, I believe, in South Korea for 6 months. In Europe, there was a bunch of stimulus money. Europe is up huge right now, and I'll post it again in Discord as they start closing here one by one. But massive, I mean 9%, 10%, 14% up. In just one night, right? So like absolutely insane. We do we got a limit up here this morning. It was battling it up in here, and this is when we were trading futures, and I kept telling them we were going to get there. We knew this is the perfect pullback that ATG called this perfectly. I got long here, and then I was out on my last one because I knew we were going to hit limit up, and I didn't want to have to deal with this going into open. I obviously have some calls that we bought last night, and you guys, Darius explained it pretty well, but one of the big things, the reason we were doing this is this was a play that we had just done a few days ago, that after a more than 5% down day, historically it has never happened that we have not had the next day rally of at least 2%. And we just did it a couple days ago, and the bets were on, watching all the internals, that bonds were selling off, gold was coming down, everything was kind of aligning for that perfect trade, right? So we had the risk to reward here was huge. Basically risked, on my contracts, I risked about 18 cents to now potentially be getting out of these right at open, probably at least at $2. So 18 cents to $2. I mean, the risk to reward, I don't mind losing that 18 cents. If this thing just completely died and that, but I'm hedged, of course, like we always should be, but the risk to reward was there. So we took those risks, and it's going to pay off here. What do I think is going to happen with the market? Well, honestly, there's some big bids right here, sitting right here, so they're just waiting, and you can see that this is stacking up just like it was on the limit downs. So we're definitely going to get that gap up right out of the gate, and spreads are going to be going crazy. It's going to be all over the place. I wouldn't chase this right away. You're going to want to get in, and either we're going to be fading rallies or buying the dips, and that's why the name of the video, FTR BTFD Friday the 13th, because we are fading the rallies or buying the dips. Buy the dips, sell the rip. That's the old saying, right? I use to fade the rally. It's kind of our thing, but yeah, buy the dip, sell the rip. So the whole idea here is that when we get our entries, so when this goes up into one of our lines of resistance, that's where you want to start stepping in to take that position to go short. You don't want to do it right away, because this thing is just going to rip right past you, and then you're starting with a massive red P&L there. So you don't want to psychologically scare yourself out, right? So that's kind of the idea, is that wait for this thing to see where it kind of settles in the first few minutes, and where it gaps up, and then it's a matter of, okay, if it's going to keep going up, then you're going to want to wait for a pullback. Nothing goes straight up. That's not how it works, guys, like except for Tesla apparently, but yeah, so that's the game plan. We'll go back over that in a second. And again, so speaking of Tesla, Tesla is big up this morning here. We'll go ahead and take a look at it real quick. I'll show you what I'm looking at. So I put in the description today all the ones that I'm looking at. So you got a big gap up here. Tesla did have a pretty down day like everything else yesterday, and then it sold off really harsh into after hours, hit a low all the way at 511.20. And then pre-market, this thing just absolutely is taking off. It's already up over $600 again here this morning. So that's one we're definitely going to be watching. Apple had some very bullish news, which I think is absolutely going to be helping FANGs and tech in general, so that's helping the overall market. Same thing, sold off pretty hard after hours, cleared down to 235.51. They had some news come out that they are opening all of their China stores, and all the supply lines will be re-emerging here in the next few days. So this thing just gapped up nice and big here. So we're actually sitting right at, the bid ask is 265, 265.21. So all the way down from 235.51 up to 265. So there's a lot of these big gaps today, guys. I posted a few of them earlier in Discord. You can kind of see like just how crazy it is. Another big one was Boeing, which is cool because I know a couple of guys had gotten in this and had shares. So it hit a low after hours of 150. We're already gapping back up to 173.50. So that's definitely one to watch. So what I'm saying is the reason we want to watch these is that if these sell off, then that you want to get long, right? So if these pop up and run into resistance, then you're going to want to fade those spikes. But if they drop down and they're running up on good positive volume, but you get a pullback, that's when you get long. Don't chase, let it come to you, and that's what that means. Is it's all about timing, guys. Let it come to you, and these are going to come to you. Another one that's up really big, one we wanted to watch out of the gate is AMD. BABA also was up nice and big here pre-market. Look at that, 180 all the way up to 197, and we're still sitting around 195. So that's one we'll definitely want to watch. We'll be watching SPY, the Qs, TLT, we're still in that. The other one is oil, guys. So there's some more news, again, on this battle. Just like I said, though, something was going to happen, and it did. We are now having airstrikes in the Middle East. I've been watching that news all morning, but this is a nice gap up here. We're already hitting up at 710. It did back off a bit here, but this is good because it's going to be a slow and steady climb. And so if you've already got into this, great. If not, wait for these pullbacks to get some really far out calls or even shares, and I have both. But wait for this to get a pullback and then get long. Don't wait till it's up 7% and then jump in, and because you're not gonna get that best price that you want to get. So yeah, so we are way off 20% off of the high, so we are in a bear market. I do think, and HEG has really put his thoughts into Discord. I do think that we are absolutely will be headed back this year for sure to new all-time highs. I think we definitely need a retest of the lows. But I believe that HEG was saying about he's foreseeing the way he's looking at on his models. Basically somewhere around June, July. I definitely think that could happen, especially as volatile as everything has been this week, the last couple weeks. And it's not going to stop, guys. We have massive expected moves going into the next couple weeks. We have a few economic things today. I'll get into that after the market settles down. It's going to be crazy out of the gate, guys. So you have to bear with me a little bit. Help each other out in Discord, help each other out here on the YouTube stream. Just, pay attention, watch what's going on. Elk, it was me. That's what I have because I run a studio too. I do music production, so I have all these cool like voice changers and auto tune and stuff. So I just for fun, I'm just having a good time with it. It's Friday the 13th, so I figured I'd throw some craziness on it. Why can't I find? I want to turn it off so we can talk now normal for the rest of the session. Where did it go? Ah! Hold on, guys. Bear with me here before I open.
Okay, there we go. All right. Anyway, guys, yeah. So we're gonna be watching for volatility out of the gate here. Watching for things to pop. I think we're gonna really be watching. We're really high up in financials. Apple's helping push up everything. We'll be watching Apple, Tesla, Boeing, BABA. But more than anything, you guys, we're gonna be watching the market. That's where the plays are gonna be. So yeah, so this thing, I'm expecting this to gap up here pretty good, you guys, out of the gate. So wait for things to back off, and then we'll go from there. I will sell a little bit out of open here. I'm going to try to hold on to some of this. I'm trying to reset everything. So yeah, some of the individual names we'll have time to get into, so I'll step into those probably a little bit after open. Going to manage some positions here. You know, guys, just watch for this choppiness and the wild swings. It's going to be a crazy one for Friday because they're going to want to bring that price down. I'm thinking we're going to get a fade here. So I think what we'll do is we'll probably gap up and pop, and then it'll probably try to sell off. And hopefully, to be honest, it does, so we can get that A++ setup at the end of the day. That's what I'm really, really hoping for. So let me see here real quick. Oh, no, you stay right there. Wow, this thing is being stupid. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of bids right now on the S&P's, NYSE, and the Dow. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see where this thing wants to go. And I'll get into some more news as we get farther, guys. But sorry, guys, I'm just trying to set all this stuff. So yeah, we'll let price run into resistance before we try to fade these rallies. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to kind of be the plan, you guys, for this morning. And then depending on if price action wants to keep running and keep going, then yeah, we're going to obviously we're going to want to wait for pullbacks to get long then too. That's going to be the other thing that we'll have to absolutely be paying attention to. Wow, why does this thing keep moving on me? I don't want it to move on me. Stay there. Let's see what else. So there's a lot of stuff that we'll get into after the market kind of settles down a little bit out of the gate. We got about half a minute here, guys. Just watch for this choppiness and for the gap up here. Let's get into the other view. We are down about 13% in the VIX too, so that's the other thing I'll be wanting to watch. Yeah, Apple got all they're reopening all their China stores. Their supply lines are back and running. So New York is We are pushing up at 6.7% here in the S&Ps. Wow, a lot of this did not, I think a lot of the decay really pushed this around. Ah, why does it keep moving? Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out here. This is being super stupid. Yeah, you guys. So they're definitely battling. They're going to try to pull that price back down, and this is kind of what we were hoping for. We want to see this pull back down. We did open clear up at a 1906. Some decent ticks, but they're definitely pulling this price back down. So not too surprising there. So I feel like they're going to be trying to pull this down here, guys, and it's going to be hard and choppy and around. But I think that's where we're going to end up going is coming way down into there. So Boeing, so I was talking about Boeing moving up, and so that it is trying to regain some of their contracts. I can see they're talking about it. I'll have to see if that follows through. Okay, guys, sorry, I'm trying to answer all these emails. People are asking everything, but yeah, same thing. So, you guys, anything get into resistance, we're gonna try to fade those. That is the play out of the gate here. I expect some choppiness, but I think they're gonna try to pull price back down, and that's good. That's what we want, because once we get down in here, then we want to be able to get those rips at the end of the day. That's gonna be the plan. So pretty much what we've been talking about in this morning, in the Discord as well. See what is going on around the globe here on this, and I'll go over everything. I'll go over the market here shortly, guys. Wow, my thing is going so slow this morning. There we go. Wow, why is that not there? Oh, everything is loading so slow. This is absolutely insane. Oh, I see what's going on now. So oil is pushing back up, guys, and like I said, it's I'm pretty sure it's pushing up because of the airstrikes going on in the Middle East. And yeah, this is what we expected, guys. Like, pretty much we were anticipating more than anything that was going to gap up and then sell off. I mean, that's definitely what we're saying with the fade the rallies. Buy the dip, sell the rip. So that's kind of the idea. So now what we do is we wait for price to kind of settle out in here, and before you want to start getting wait for these to bid back up. On an up move, then get short. You'll get it's an incredible difference on your calls. So wow, yeah. So those calls I got yesterday, this morning, I'm out of all of them now, but I was up 600%, 400%, 200%, and then some of them were down clear, only up like 30%, but they're longer out. I'm not sure what the deal is there, but the IV is super strong, so we still have an $88 expected move day today, guys, too. So that's something we're definitely going to want to keep an eye on. But, yep, here we go, and we're going to start. Yeah, see, we're just going to keep breaking this down. Yeah, I mean, this was kind of we got lucky. What it was from is the world markets helped us, guys. They were all up massive, so it was kind of boosting this. But there was no real, no real catalyst for this to be up that much. So that's really what the real deal is here. Okay, let's take a look around here again. So you can look into our futures map. You can see financials are really selling off hard here. So they were helping boost the market a lot, and they're really selling off. Oil is falling down here now. It is still up 3%. Gold's continuing to fall, but bonds are pushing up. 10 years not as much, but bonds are rising. So that's definitely a bear signal. This is kind of what we were thinking. Same. The Nasdaq is up 4%. Yeah, so they're very, very close. So they're very correlated. So that is there is definitely some evenness as far as price goes on. So FANG's still looking okay. Facebook is still up 4.9%. Apple's up 4.27%. Amazon up 2%. Netflix barely in the green here. A huge sell-off. Look at that nasty candle on Netflix. Jeez. Google up 2.9 and Microsoft 3.9. So Facebook actually leading the charge, holding up their gains the most so far, and Apple at 4%, but Facebook up 4.7%. So that is definitely something to take into account as we continue on the day. So Boeing is actually up still 6.66%. At 165.13. Roku is up just a little in the green here, about just under 1%. Activision holding up decent, and it's still above that lower Celt, so we'll see if it can hold on to that at 2.93%. Shopify at 2.87% at 388.63. NVIDIA is up 5.43%. Tesla is still up 1% here, but it did reject. I mean, just a beautiful play on Tesla. If you wanted to get short, it just bounced right off of that lower Celt and just, pretty much collapsed from those. It was up about 6%, I believe, pre-market. So that is backed off quite a bit on that resistance of that lower Celt. BABA also breaking through the lower Celt, but still up 3.56. BDU, similar, didn't quite get up to the lower Celt, but it did just bounce right off of it. AMD breaking through its lower Celt, but still up 6.38%. So a lot of these gains it needed to make back into these zones, they're not pretty much nothing really getting into its zone that it needs to for a bullish run. And that's what we're saying, is that it's just, they're basically completely falling apart. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, Spartacus's calls were break even. So what you have to do, what I did, and this is what I did, that's right out of the gate, was I set them where I had to do the math and set them where I thought they would go. So what I did is I double and tripled them, and it only was literally for the first, you heard it, like the first couple minutes, that I was able to catch those. And now they're negative. So that, that's why you want to get out of those as quickly as possible. I wanted to look at something here. Yeah, so gold is down 0.5%, but I wanted to see how much it was actually. Very interesting to see how that does. And I have a few things about gold I'll post this weekend that I want everybody to be able to look at, because it's going to be kind of telling on the market as we go. So market's still up 106 handles here at 2564.50, 4.38%, and you can see we're going to, and it pushes up. You can try to sell these off. Now, I'm going to give it some more time and wait for this to kind of settle. And I want to see the internals change. We were on the rise in the ad decline at 2372, but price was falling. So there is a bit of a little divergence going on there. And we're getting positive ticks still, just nothing at the strength that we would like to see those, right? To get in. Walmart is also up 2.59%. That was something I want to look at too. Going forward, because I do think we're going to get that retest, So this is what we're kind of talking about, you guys, with FTRs, fade the rallies, buy the dip, sell the rip. So if this thing starts ripping back up into these zones, then you can, especially this zone here where we were at, all night, that 2582. It taps into there. That's a good spot to get short, possibly, with small risk, probably risk, a couple points. And it looks like it's not going to be able to quite get up there, though. Bulls are really not being able to hold this up as anticipated, but we're just playing it the way we can see it. Yeah, but okay. So Willie says, with market moving so fast at the open, it's hard to get out of options at the open. But you don't try to fight it. You literally just set your orders. That's why it's so important to understand how to use the platform, especially in Thinkorswim. It's why we always tell people to paper trade so much, is so that you can learn how to actually use the software. Because all you have to do, and so the way I do it in depth of market, my DOM, I literally just go in there and set my limit orders to where they're at, and that's why I can get these hits so much higher. I mean, so if you were to try to click on it and then sell it, that's wasting about 10, 15 seconds. Well, right there, that's probably the difference between 20 and 40 cents on the SPY calls. So I just set it at literally at 9:28. I set them, where I thought I could get them hit. And then, if you need to, you can adjust more in depth of market. In the DOM, you can drop it, and you have hotkeys where I just press shift and click, and it automatically sets it right there without me having to confirm to send. It is confirmed to send with shift click. So you just shift click, and you can literally do it like a crazy penny stock Momo trader. And that's the way to do it. And you know, that's how you get the best fills, guys. You trying to sit there and, you know, and trying to do it while it's going and moving. That's so difficult. And that's why hotkeys, even for options guys, especially at the open, are so important. And that's why like penny stock guys or even large cap guys that are Momo traders, their hotkeys are very important. They're critical. And it is tricky, but that's why that depth of market and think or swim, I will never, that is the reason I will always keep coming back. So bio looking good this morning, still holding up with some nice gains here. Gosh, that's crazy. Still, it moved up to an $89 expected move. That's just absolutely nuts. Spartacus had 100% on my call. The poof. Yeah, you got to set those orders, guys. You got to set those limit orders before. And maybe we'll go over that a little bit more later today. And then maybe I'll continue to go over it day in and day out so that it just makes a little bit more sense, especially in these volatile conditions like this where things are moving so fast. That is definitely the way to go. Wait a minute, what? So Ryan saying this level was by the dip for me. I am definitely not getting long. This is extremely bearish to me. Bulls were not. They should have been able to hold this and rip higher. This is not. I do not see strength here at all. The internals still look okay. The breadth is on a decent climb. Add decline is not breaking down, so that's good. But it's also not really. You can see it's kind of here. I'll blow it up a little bit more. So it's pretty flatline, guys. You know. But it's not breaking down, so that's still good. So there's still some chance that they can boost us up. But I think we're going to be chopping in the zone. That's what we're going to be doing, is chopping around. Yeah, puts look the way to go here. Okay, I think. Here we go. Let's see. Interesting. So bio is up $12.50 still at 3.9, so still up just under 4%. So great day for them after coming out with that bullish news on their COVID test kits. I'm hoping there'll be some follow through. I got some time on this stuff that'll continue to follow through into next week. Nice, good job, DT. Nice little short. I've got I'm spread out. I've got a calendar spread. First strike tomorrow, but then tomorrow next week. I've got so I bought a few different contracts. So I've got just like two. So I've got a couple for next week, and then two for them because like theirs are spread out, right? They have like monthlies. So I've got two for the 20th of March, two for the 17th of April, and then I have one for June 19th. The spreads were super huge and pretty pricey. They weren't too bad for next week. The April ones, yeah, but the spreads are so wide. I set them very low, and I was actually able to hit. The open interest was really low, but they're actually you're starting to see that come in, and that's what I'll be watching for next week, is to see that so the open interest come in and then see the price continue to follow through. Man, I already need more coffee. Wow, this thing is really starting to break down good. But like, that's what me and Alex were talking about. We want this to break down all day, guys, and then that way into power hour, all of these shorts are from all this week. They're gonna want to. So I mean, just like we did last week, guys, it's the same thing. And so the big thing is I look at this level where it's at. So there's all these people still low from. Well, here, let's actually bring up a larger. Whoa. Let me grab the other view here. Okay, this will work. Oh yeah, that's right. I have it set for that. But let's do this. So we're starting back here at Monday, right? So we're up right around like 28.40. So you got all these people and then here's the spike, on that big limit up day at 28.75-ish. So the high on that day was 28.8475. So you've got all these people that have been short all through these giant drops. Yes, we pulled back up, but that's as far as we got up. So all of this is all shorts. They're still in this. They're short here. So what we want to see is we want to see this thing push down as much as it can all day today. The more the better. The farther down that thing goes, the better. And then going into power hour, there's no same thing as last week. It is more likely that they're not going to want to hold over the weekend. Now, with the worse and worse news coming out all week, possible, but because of like the short selling being illegal in a few places in Europe now, and they're talking about all the stimulus money in Germany, and South Korea has the short selling being for like 6 months. There's a possibility that things will rally Sunday night into Monday morning, and so they're going to want to shed as much as they can, at least quite a bit of all this short position into here, and they have to buy back. So then we want this to short as low as it can, and then when they buy back in, that thing is going to rip just like it did on last Friday, the same thing. And then I'd done it a couple of weeks before, and I've made this play many times, you guys, even in the bull rally, because I would find my one of my big stocks, that I watched that had been short and getting its butt kicked all week. Well, come Friday, I watch that thing super close, and if it's getting just railed all day Friday, I get ready in just about 30 minutes before. So I use an hour and a half as power hour for me. It's actually an hour and a half because a lot of times they'll start a little early, right, to catch people off guard. So what I do is I get those orders ready and I start stepping in. And once that thing starts ripping, you try to grab what you can on the pullbacks. But we know that when they come in here short and they want to buy back in at the end of the day to get out for the weekend, this thing is just going to rip, You can see this is a critical level for them right now for bulls because we're on the lower Celt on the 4 hour here. So they're going to want to save this, guys. But I do expect this to fade a little, quite a bit more, hopefully. The more the better. Again, just the more the better. And then get that big boost rip at end of day for into power hour. So that's what we're going to be looking for, and that's what we really want to watch. And you can see, you guys, what did Addicts say? They're going to want to save this. And look on the monthly. They saved it. They're saving it right here. It did come way down in here, but they've already saved it, and that's kind of part of that rally last night. That was the other thing that we're looking at. You've got bonds coming down, you've got gold selling off, you've got stimulus packages in quite a few countries. We've got short selling being outlawed in countries, and then they wanted to save this lower Celt on the monthly. So boom, so many. That's 5 good reasons on the checklist to get long, and that's what we did. And now it's time to turn around and fade it, and that's how we play. You gotta play what's in front of you guys, and I know it's just repeating the same thing over and over, but that's because it's very, very important. And man, gold is continuing to sell off as well as oil. The VIX is already back up to 72.30, so now it's only down 4%. So big change in there. XLF is still up 4.5%, but financials are definitely not helping anything by any means. So. Yeah, you can see the ticks are starting to really turn hard down here now. Breadth is kind of rounding out, and we are now starting to get a bit of a little rounded down trend in here. So I just want to watch this bad baby go lower and lower. I may, if this rallies up, around like 10:30, maybe I'll try, to a small little, scalps here and there. But I'll probably be scalping this down quite a bit today, and then I'm really looking for those later in the day plays. So that's my game plan, kids. It's so funny how so many people were so bearish last night, and then instantly it was like, oh, that was the lows. We've been at the lows, and they're going to be sorely, sorely mistaken. Brent, hi. 34 to 80. Boom, son, count it. Count it. We are down all the way to 3.26% at 25.36 even, which is still up 80 handles from yesterday's close. But yeah, so see those when you get those. I'm not going to grab one of those little bumps. I want a bigger bump. I'd like to see this thing, back up here would be a nice short. You've got this nice level here that they gave us now. Yeah, and you can see this is starting to decline, and I really want to see the breadth get under the zero line. I want to see this thing just continue to drift down all day, and then we get that nice A++ setup going long. And I will more than make sure that everybody is aware and ready to take advantage and pounce that bad boy. Get some meat on the bones. Making monies. Money! See, now I'm looking at this, Why is my spread so screwed up on this side? Interesting, Mr. Bond. Man, this implied volatility is just absolutely ridiculous for price level. I mean, 92% in the SPX. That is, it's unheard of. Just absolutely insane. Guess it ain't not heard of anymore. There we go. Yeah, bears, come on, just drag it down. Take it downtown. Yeah, right, DT. Yeah, yep. Yep. 68 cents for the 239 put. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good price. We were putting in lower lows and obviously lower high. We're going down. We're going down. Don't you worry. Oh, WHO coming on. Gonna start at 8:30. Time to get nasty, kids. WHO here. I'm gonna grab the link. Well, you know what? We'll watch it together. How's that? Let me go find this real quick. So in 30 minutes, the WHO is gonna speak, guys. So we could get a nasty sell. Yes, perfect. I hope they don't come out and say we found the cure. That'd be our luck. And the awesome thing is that it's a little bit earlier. So if it is nice and negative and this thing sells off super hard like it's been doing, I'd like to see this thing just completely drag this down. And then we really get that sell off. And we got way more time this morning to have that happen. Yeah, you're right. The test kits. And there's another company that Roche or whatever came out that they gave credit to that Trump talked about. They're going to be a big player going into this also. They're from I think Switzerland maybe. Don't mind if this pushes up a little bit here, so I might get a better position to get short into the WHO speech. And then they can just drag it down. Oh my gosh, Thinkorswim is going so slow. Like, this is almost driving me nuts. Like, when I'm trying to reload everything. Come on, hurry up. It's like so frustrating. I can't even get in a position now. It's just, what is it doing? Here we go. Jeez. Yeah, they keep talking about the new coronavirus test kit 10 times faster gets FDA approval, and that's the one from Switzerland. Wow, they're really trying to push us back up there, though, huh? But yeah, so every time we've gotten those WHO speeches, we've really just completely fell apart, and that's, oh, that we're getting some big ticks. Wow, they're really trying to bring this back up now. I'm watching. They're canceling the Masters. Got about 20 minutes till that speech. Let me see if I can find this thing and get it set up. I think it was CNBC or I can't remember now. Let's see here. Yeah, and the market's not being able to hold up over those critical levels either, guys. So this is especially if the WHO comes on and they're saying anything very negative, it's gonna get ugly quick. Let me see here. Where did it go? Come on. Gosh, why can't I get it to come up? Came up on the phone. That's annoying. Hold on, let me see if I can move it. I might have to email myself. Oh, it's Yahoo. That's why. Idiot. There we go. Come on with that. Get this set up so you guys can. They're definitely fighting over this. Friday the 13th. Who? Oh, yeah, that could be nasty. Let's see here. Alright, should be able to find that now. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get this set up, though. Here, it's coming up in a few minutes, and I want to get some coffee because I'll probably be sitting here for a minute. There we go. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, we got 16 minutes till that comes on, guys. So I'm gonna get some more coffee. Get ready for this craziness. This other guy, where's the sound? It doesn't start for 60 minutes there, bud. I hope there's no sound yet. You numb nuts. You nutta. If this fails, expect to see Cascade selling below 25.20-ish. Yeah, they're definitely going to be chopping for a bit here, guys. If you're short, hold on. And if you can get short, I would at least take a small position short to get ready. Because this could be a big old sell-off, and then we get that second, and then we get that A+ setup at the end of the day. It's nice that we'll have so much time, especially let this thing just sit there and just get nasty, dirty low today. $20-ish. Ah, that was a terrible... Out of range? What? Oh, wow. They're going to definitely try to retest that, aren't they? Jeez. Yeah, Thinkorswim is being super weird. It's like failing and doing all sorts of weird stuff here. And now it's stuck. Oh my god. Why is it frozen? Oh no, this is driving me nuts. Got 10 minutes till the WHO speech, guys. Wow, it is just stuck. I don't know what I can do. Yeah, it did. I did close it down. I did it last night and then put it back in. So, oh, it is frozen too, Willie. Great. Oh, there it goes. Okay, all right. That was weird though. I'm glad I didn't have to get out right then. It did totally. Yeah, that's all right. Whatever. Like how you call it, the Who. Oh, they're really trying to push this up here. Got 7 minutes. I'm gonna get some more coffee. Okay, give me just a minute, guys. Here, let's see. I got. Okay, 6 minutes, guys. Let me see here. I'm trying to get everything so I don't have to worry about once we're set up. Okay, give me just a minute, guys, and then we'll move here in about 5 minutes. Well, 5 minutes to that speech. Okay, guys, so we got just about a minute here till this is supposed to open up and start. Let's see here. Okay, so they're just waiting for them right now, so this should be coming on any second. We got a minute still, but... Let's see here. Okay, I can't do anything until they actually bring it on, I see. Okay, hurry up, Yahoo. Well, it's probably not them. They're probably waiting on the World Health Organization guys, but... Berkshire annual meeting to be held without shareholders. Yeah. That makes sense. Oh, they are taking their sweet time, aren't they? Come on. Come on. Let's get the juiciness. Let's get that juiciness going. Oh my gosh, what are they doing? Waiting for Yahoo. 8:30. All right. Mm-hmm. Moving on up to the east side. Man, if Trump popped for COVID, this market, I think it seriously would just shatter. They are certainly taking their time on this meeting getting started. It drives me nuts when they do this. Especially nice because I want them to come in there so they just got all that just extra time to just keep breaking down. Because usually we don't get these for like another like hour or two. These meetings, so it'd be nice if it is nice and negative, get what we want, get that just nice all day fade, and then get that A++ plus setup going into power hour. That's what I'd be stoked on that. What you doing? Yeah, I'll be playing it. It's still waiting. Yeah, DT, we talked about that being postponed like 2 days ago, bro. Oh, dude, it would be so crazy. It'd be awesome. What now? Oh, this has been 6 minutes over. I don't know what they're talking about so long. Come on. Oh, this is driving me nuts, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm being impatient because it's like I saw it 30 minutes ago, got everything ready, and then got my trades ready, got all this ready. And now they're taking their time. Sweet, sweet time. Well, Friday the 13th for the pre-Who music. That's how the Who should always. That's how the Who or speeches should always come on. That's pandemic music right there. Oh my gosh, they need to get this started. It's getting annoying now. I do not know what they're waiting for. That's what's so annoying. Come on. There's no luck in trading. I do not like when people say that. It's feeling. There's no place for hope. There's no place for feelings. There's no place for luck. If you're going on luck, you're gambling. That's called gambling. Yeah, DT, you're good, man. They're still not even coming on the thing at all. Jeez, taking forever. Come on.
We have here in the room Dr. Gaudens Silberschmidt, who is the WHO Director for Health and Multilateral Partnerships. And we have online, and we are welcoming Elisabeth Cousins, who is the President and CEO of United Nations Foundation. We have Kate Dodson, who is the Vice President and working on global health within the UNF. And then we have, calling from Switzerland, Etienne Eichenberger, who is the President of Swiss Philanthropy Foundation. And we also have a project manager, Irina Schlesserek. So I welcome all of them for today's press briefing, and we may hear from them. Before I give a floor to Dr. Tedros for his opening remarks, just to remind everyone that we will have a audio file available immediately and transcript hopefully tomorrow. So I'll give a floor to Dr. Tedros.
Thank you, Tariq, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start today by acknowledging that even though COVID-19 has captured the world's attention, there are still many other health issues people continue to face every single day, and that WHO is continuing to work on. Babies are still being born. Essential surgery is continuing. People still need emergency care after road traffic crashes. People still need treatment for cancer, diabetes, HIV, malaria, and many other diseases. And for all of this, we need health workers. Today, I want to send a personal and sincere thank you to every health worker around the world, especially nurses and midwives, who we are celebrating this year through the International Year of the Nurse and the Midwife. You do a heroic job. We know that this crisis is putting a huge burden on you and your families. We know you're stretched to the limit. You have our admiration, our respect, and our commitment to doing everything we can to keep you safe and enable you to do your job. More than 132,000 cases of COVID-19 have now been reported to WHO from 123 countries and territories. 5,000 people have lost their lives, a tragic milestone. Europe has now become the epicenter of the pandemic, with more reported cases and deaths than the rest of the world combined, apart from China. More cases are now being reported every day than were reported in China at the highest of its epidemic. At the height of its epidemic. I will repeat this one. More cases are now being reported every day than were reported in China at the height of its epidemic. We're encouraged that many countries are now acting on the 8 pillars of WHO's strategic preparedness and response plan. Most countries now have a national plan. Most are taking a multi-sectoral approach, and most have laboratory testing capacity. WHO has evidence-based guidance that every country can use according to each of the 8 pillars. And we're continuing to support countries to prepare and respond. We have shipped supplies of personal protective equipment to 56 countries, and we're shipping to a further 28 countries. And we have sent almost 1.5 million diagnostic tests to 120 countries. Our message to countries continues to be, you must take a comprehensive approach. Not testing alone, not contact tracing alone, not quarantine alone, not social distancing alone. Do it all. Any country that looks at the experience of other countries with large epidemics and thinks that won't happen to us is making a deadly mistake. It can happen to any country. The experience of China, the Republic of Korea, Singapore, and others clearly demonstrates that aggressive testing and contact tracing combined with social distancing measures and community mobilization can prevent infections and save lives. Japan is also demonstrating that a whole-of-government approach led by Prime Minister Abe himself, supported by in-depth investigation of clusters, is a critical step in reducing transmission. WHO has clear advice for governments, businesses, and individuals. First, prepare and be ready. Every person must know the signs and symptoms and how to protect themselves and others. Every health worker should be able to recognize this disease, provide care, and know what to do with their patients. Every health facility should be ready to cope with large numbers of patients and ensure the safety of staff and patients. Second, detect, protect, and treat. You can't fight a virus if you don't know where it is. Find, isolate, test, and treat every case to break the chains of transmission. Every case we find and treat limits the expansion of the disease. Third, reduce transmission. Do not just let this fire burn. Isolate the sick and quarantine their contacts. In addition, measures that increase social distancing, such as canceling sporting events, may help to reduce transmission. These measures, of course, should be based on local context and risk assessment and should be time limited. Even if you cannot stop transmission, you can slow it down and save lives. And fourth, innovate and learn. This is a new virus and a new situation. We're all learning, and we must all find new ways to prevent infections, save lives, and minimize impact. All countries have lessons to share. There are simple, effective things we can all do to reduce the risk of infection for ourselves and those around us. Clean your hands regularly with an alcohol-based rub or soap and water. Cover your mouth and nose with your elbow if you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you're sick. Avoid unnecessary travel and large social gatherings. Comply with the advice of your local or national health authority. Find and share reliable information. And finally, you can give. Together with the United Nations Foundation and the Swiss Philanthropy Foundation, WHO is today launching the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund to enable individuals and organizations to contribute. Until now, we have been relying mainly on governments to support the response. We thank all those countries who have supported WHO's strategic preparedness and response plan, including Japan, which this week contributed $155 million. Now everyone can contribute. Funds raised will be used to coordinate the response, to buy masks, gloves, gowns, and goggles for health workers, to buy diagnostic tests, to improve surveillance, and to invest in research and development. To give to the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund, go to who.int and look for the orange Donate button at the top of the page. We thank Google, Facebook, and the individuals who have already contributed. Every dollar donated is a dollar toward saving lives. We're all in this together. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tedros.
as we speak, the press release on the launch of COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund is being sent to you. Just to remind everyone that this press briefing is being broadcast on various platforms from our site, WHO Facebook, WHO Twitter account, WHO YouTube channel, as well as on LinkedIn. So we will start with the questions from journalists who are listening us, who have either dialed in or who are watching us through Zoom. So we will start with Anjali from Yahoo Finance.
Can you hear me? Great, thanks so much. I just wanted to know, in terms of the social distancing techniques that are being used and implemented, there's been some criticisms of them being, put in place. I can indeed. Can you hear me? Really, right now, how do we see, thanks so much. I just wanted to know, in terms of the social distancing techniques that are being used and implemented, there's been
social distancing is a tried and tested method in slowing down the pace of epidemic spread, and certainly in the cases of previous influenza pandemics, social distancing has been used to some effect in slowing down the spread. Social distancing is based on a principle that you don't know who's infected, and you're separating, putting social distance between everyone. We've said again and again, many countries are not in that situation yet. Many countries are in a situation where the disease is recognizable, cases can be detected, contacts can be identified, quarantined, and it is a more cost-effective intervention to separate some individuals from society than separate everybody in society from each other. However, where there is not a good handle, where there hasn't been a good understanding of disease transmission, where enough has not been invested in core public health interventions such as case finding and contact tracing, then social distancing measures may be your only option to create distance between individuals. But as we've said in previous press conferences, they are very costly interventions in terms of societal acceptance. They're very costly in economic terms. And they have to be used in a time-limited fashion with the specific purpose of slowing down infection enough to protect the health system. And I think this is the difference. Very often in public health, we use case finding and contact tracing to go after the virus, to stop, to interrupt, to push back. That's the purpose of those public measures. The purpose of social distancing is only to slightly slow down the virus so your health system can cope. The objectives are different. And I think we have to be clear that social distancing measures are not a panacea. Social distancing measures are not going to stop this epidemic. They're not going to stop this pandemic purely in their own right. And if countries want to really turn this around, for those countries that are in a position to do that, and it's been clearly demonstrated in other places, then investing back in a measured, comprehensive strategy, as Dr. Tedros has referred to it so many times, of trying to still do the kind of case finding, contact tracing, isolation to push the virus back. That is not to say that certain social distancing measures will not have a positive impact, but they come at a cost and must be considered, as Dr. Tedros has said, in the local context. And there's a local context that is both in public health terms, but also in societal acceptance terms. A society may accept social distancing in one part of the world and they may reject it in another. And governments have to balance those genuine dilemmas around social and community acceptance.
And if I can just complement that, so in addition to what Mike has said, he mentioned this comprehensive package of measures, and the DG has said this repeatedly. So social distancing is one aspect that we have been promoting here, but this is in addition to a lot of other measures that we have also been promoting, which include case and contact finding, aggressive case and contact finding, and testing. Testing needs to be appropriate in each country to ensure that we know who are cases and who are not cases. It also includes hand hygiene, washing your hands with soap and water, using an alcohol-based rub, making sure that you also practice respiratory etiquette. You are sneezing into your elbow or coughing into your elbow. making sure that we mobilize all of our population. It is very important that every single person on the planet knows what the signs and symptoms of COVID-19 are. The signs and symptoms of COVID-19 is not sneezing and having a runny nose. It's a fever. It's a dry cough. It's aches and pains. It's very important that we know those differences. Some people will also have difficulty breathing. And so knowing what the signs and symptoms are, knowing what your risk may be, will help protect you and help protect your family.
Thank you very much. Just to remind journalists to ask one question at the time. So let's try now with Banjo Kaur from down third from India. Banjo, can you hear us?
Thank you very much. Just to remind journalists to ask one question at the time. So
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please go ahead. With Banjo Kaur from down
my
third
question
from
is,
India. Banjo,
India
can you
has
hear us?
blocked the travel for all foreign nationals coming from across the globe.
Hello?
Does WHO think, can you hear me? Its own assessment.
Yes, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
My question is, India has blocked the travel for all foreign nationals.
Consistently said that each sovereign country must decide upon its own measures to protect its population. But we've also consistently said is that blanket travel measures in their own right will do nothing to protect an individual state. In fact, many countries who had outright travel bans early in this response ended up importing cases anyway, and may have reacted later than they should have because they assumed travel restrictions would protect them. So I think it's very important that the main focus in this fight is not on anything other than the public health measures, case detection, isolation, getting increasing number of tests done. People who know their status can protect others. It's a little bit like in the HIV epidemic. Until people could understand my status, if I know that I'm infected, I can protect others. So we need to move to that sort of a stance, and investing in the capacity to do that, investing in the ability to treat cases effectively and give proper reassurance in community education, in community mobilization. As part of an overall comprehensive strategy, there is a place, particularly inside national borders, for potentially restricting movement between zones, as we've seen in certain places. But there is rarely justification for blanket bans, unless, of course, the context and the risk defines that. So it's difficult for us to comment on the individual action of an individual nation. We would have to fully understand the risk assessment and the vulnerability assessment that was carried out in India.
Thank you very much. So let's try to get to NHK now. If we have someone, otherwise NPR, sorry, and then we will get to NHK after that. Do we have anyone from NPR?
Yeah, hi, this is Ping. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Hi, this is Ping Huang from National Public Radio. I wanted to ask about stigma. So Dr. Jesus said that stigma is more dangerous with the disease itself. And
do we have anyone from NPR?
To reduce stigma in their communities, and are there actually any examples of leaders that are doing it right? Hi.
I think there's something everyone can do to battle against stigma. You know, to educate yourself about what this virus is, where it's circulating. No one is at fault for getting infected with this virus. We need to help each other as best we can. We see many examples of countries helping each other within their own populations, whether this is providing some support to families who have infected cases, providing support to families who have members who are in quarantine, providing support to healthcare workers who are working on the front line, bringing them groceries or helping them clean their homes. And we need to all stand up to stigma. We need to stand up to people who are pointing out that someone may be at fault for being from a certain country. This absolutely should not be tolerated in any form. And we do see many good examples of it, and we need to make sure that we promote that. But everyone has a responsibility here to do the right thing. and to help each other out during this difficult time.
If I could add, because there's another word that goes with stigma, and that is exclusion. And there are two processes here. One is, as Maria has very well explained, the issue of stigma associated with the disease or profiling according to that. But there's also something we need to avoid. We've been speaking very much about those who are vulnerable in our societies. And that vulnerability is very important to deal with. But when we speak about that vulnerability, we cannot forget migrants. We cannot forget undocumented workers. We cannot forget prisoners in prisons. They may be serving sentence, but they deserve no less protection under the law than others. So when we talk about stigma, we also need to really look carefully at exclusion. We're working very closely with the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, with the Red Cross movement. We were on the telephone this morning. We've been speaking about joint activities around issues like this. The Director General has said many times, we must leave no one behind, because the only way to beat this is to leave no one behind. So when we talk about stigma, we also need to avoid that, but we need to avoid exclusion as well. We're in this together, and I hope we can finish this together.
Yes, I fully agree, and this is everyone's business, and nobody should be excluded. But the only thing I'd like to add to this is, especially political leaders, religious leaders, community leaders have a special role to play here, to bridge and also to tell our followers to adhere to just basic morality, respecting others. And this virus is a common enemy. So I would expect and call upon all political leaders, religious leaders, and community leaders to play a bigger role here.
Thank you very much. Let's try to move to Karachi in Pakistan. Express Tribune. Do we have someone online? Hello, can you hear us, please? Yes, yes, please, go ahead. Hello, we can. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Neha here.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Neha here from the Express Tribune.
Okay, welcome, please.
My question is, what does the epidemiological outlook in Pakistan look like in the near future?
Thank you very much.
It's difficult to predict the epidemiologic outlook in any country. I have personally worked in Pakistan on polio eradication for nearly 3 years, and very much enjoyed my time working with some excellent Pakistani colleagues working on infectious disease control, among them Dr. Rana Safdar. So I think there's a great capacity in Pakistan. There's a great public health capacity, but there are also great challenges. You have a highly mobile population, you have great mega cities, and you have many underserved people. So there is a great challenge facing Pakistan. But Pakistan has also demonstrated time and time again with dengue, with polio, with other diseases, how all of government, all of society approaches can be made to work. So we wish Pakistan all the best luck in the world, and all of our assistance in supporting some fine public health servants in your country.
Thank you very much. Hope this answers the question on Pakistan. Now we go to Moscow, to Kommersant FM, and we have Uliana calling. Uliana, can you hear us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Well, my questions are, when do you think the COVID-19 will peak in the world? And given that the vaccine has not yet been developed, does WHO have any recommendations about drugs or medications that can be effective in the treatment process?
Thank you very much.
So the first question is, when will this peak in the world? That's a very good question, and I'm sure everyone has that on their mind. One thing we are not able to do is to predict what will happen. What we need to do is prepare for any scenario. And the trajectory of this pandemic, the trajectory of each epidemic in each country is dependent on the actions of each country. So what we have seen in several countries in Asia, we've seen them tackle this virus be aggressive in their approach in terms of finding their cases and contacts and have this comprehensive approach that we've discussed previously, mobilizing their workforce, having an all of government, all of society approach. We've seen them turn the corner. So we've seen them have very strong, very bad epidemics and have them peak. Hopefully that they've peaked. China has certainly peaked and there's been a decline, but there's always the chance that those cases can increase again. So we always have to be on the ready to look for any cases that pop up. With regards to the rest of the world, as I said, it will depend on how countries react to their first cases and if they have an aggressive approach to those first cases. For countries that are dealing with clusters of cases, it will depend on how they aggressively look for the chains of transmission within those clusterings of cases, making sure that they identify every single case, every contact, separate the contacts, put them in quarantine. And for those countries that are dealing with much larger outbreaks and community transmission, making sure that there's a much broader approach in terms of mobilizing their entire workforce to support the response to this, making sure that their hospitals have the possibility to cope with increasing numbers of cases. But it's impossible for us to say when this will peak globally. We hope that it is sooner rather than later, but again, we can't emphasize enough that there have been countries that have demonstrated the ability to turn the tide to suppress transmission, and it is in the hands of every country to be able to do that. So we are hoping that more countries put more aggressive efforts into doing so.
On the issue of drugs and vaccines, there's been there are a large number of trials underway of therapeutic options, and we will speak in more detail early next week. We are very excited with the level of solidarity and cooperation going on between member states, between scientific institutions who are putting together a global platform for being able to carry out these trials together, using the same approaches, using the same protocols, and sharing that data and being able to have a much more powerful opportunity to identify effective therapies. We will speak in much more detail on that next week. Equally on the vaccine side, we're working extremely closely with CEPI, but also with Gavi and other institutions, and there is a major funding gap on that side as well. It's not just for the operational response and supporting countries with weaker health systems. We have to move now to manage the risks and make the investments we need to develop vaccines going into the future. And we're working very closely with our colleagues in CEPI on that. And the fund that's been launched today will cover many aspects of that, including investments in vaccine development through partner institutions like CEPI.
Thank you very much. I will read one question that I received through SMS from DPA, German news agency, our friend Christian Ulrich, who is asking for Dr. Tedros, but maybe also for Mike, what are the biggest lessons the world can learn from Ebola outbreak in Congo in fighting the epidemic?
It's difficult. Sometimes we over-extrapolate from one event to the other, and sometimes we don't learn enough lessons and we don't adapt enough. I think what we've learned in Ebola outbreaks is you need to react quickly. You need to go after the virus. You need to stop the chains of transmission. You need to engage with communities very deeply. Community acceptance is hugely important. You need to be coordinated. You need to be coherent. You need to look at the other sectoral impacts, the schools and security and economic. So it's essentially many of those same lessons. But the lessons I've learned after so many Ebola outbreaks in my career are be fast, have no regrets. You must be the first mover. The virus will always get you if you don't move quickly. And you need to be prepared. And I say this, one of the great things in emergency response, and anyone who's involved in emergency response will know this, if you need to be right before you move, you will never win. Perfection is the enemy of the good when it comes to emergency management. Speed trumps perfection. And the problem in society we have at the moment is everyone is afraid of making a mistake. Everyone is afraid of the consequence of error. But the greatest error is not to move. The greatest error is to be paralyzed by the fear of failure. And I think that's the single biggest lesson I've learned in Ebola responses in the past.
We will move on. If we may try to get NHK this time around. NHK? NHK, can you hear us? I think it's Shoko who is online. We don't have NHK. Let's move on. Chris, can we get Jeremy maybe, who was online for some time now? Jeremy from Radio France International. And I would also, while we are waiting to get journalists online, just to remind you that we have announced the launch of COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund, and we have colleagues online who can speak about that. So if we should really try to use them and ask questions about the fund itself. But again, it's a press conference and journalists can ask questions they want. Do we have Jeremy online? Jeremy?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Jeremy, please go ahead.
Okay, forgive me because I have my kids right next to me, so you might hear already. I won't try today again to ask you who's doing poorly in Europe, because I know that you don't want to talk too much about member states. But can I try and ask you who's doing good in Europe regarding containment versus mitigation measures? And then I can try to get by myself who's doing poorly then.
Good. Yeah, I think you just answered my previous question. We are not seeking to identify those who do poorly or do well. We're trying to identify the best lessons we can all use, the best way to move forward together. No one has done perfectly, and no one has made all the mistakes. We share all of the errors together, so we will share failure in the same way we will share success. So if one person makes an error in a team, do you blame the person or the team? Are we a team at global level? We are. Are we a team at national level? We should be. Are we a team at community level? We should be. So we won't break from that. If we have tough discussions, we will have them directly with our member states and with those governments.
If I can add something, I'm not going to answer that direct question, but I want to say something that if there are countries that are starting to identify cases and starting to identify large numbers of cases because they're looking, because they're doing aggressive case and contact finding, they shouldn't be punished from that. It's really important that we support countries in doing the right measures, and sometimes that's going to mean that case numbers are going to increase. And in many countries, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And so I just urge everyone to take caution with that, and that these numbers are going to increase. So please look for cases, please do testing and find those cases, and so we can turn the tide.
And if you want to evaluate any institution or governmental approach, ask the questions the Director General asked. Is every member of society know what to do? Does every member of society informed? Is every health worker protected? Does every health worker know this disease and knows what to do? If you can answer those questions as a government, as an institution, as a community, then you're on the right track. If you answer no to any of those questions, you're not ready, or you're not doing enough yet to be ready. So I would point you back to the text of Tedros' speech.
The text will be shared with the audio file in a couple of minutes after we finish the briefing, and we will finish soon. We have a time for 2 more questions. We will start with Joanne from Meetings Today. We didn't have anyone from Meetings Today before, so Joanne, welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me ask this question. I'm in the meetings and hospitality industry. We have obviously been hit very hard. I took the chance and traveled to speak at a conference in the Pacific Northwest in the U.S. My question is, we know that sports stars and other stars and government officials are reporting when they've had contact with others. In asking hotels and airlines in the United States what their process is in order to have anyone who finds out that they have been diagnosed with COVID-19 report back to the airline, the hotel, the organization, To the best of my knowledge, nothing is in place. What should be done? And Dr. Maria, this goes back a bit to your response about IDing contacts.
I'll take the first part, and Maria will follow up on the direct technical side. If the strategy is about case finding and contact tracing and truly focused on containment, then any institution that was in the pathway of that person should be informed, because there are potentially other contacts in that circumstance. So no question in that regard. In a mitigation strategy, nobody is, very often people stop looking for those direct contacts and direct individual risks. So therefore it's very difficult to go back to each institution when you have a new case in a hospital. There's no public health authority mandated, funded or tasked with going back, finding out where that person might have been. So it really depends on what the strategy of each individual government is. On a more general level, we work very closely with the World Tourism Organization, with the Civil Aviation Organization, with the International Air Transport Association and so many others in trying to come up with common guidelines and common technical inputs for all of our partners in the hospitality and travel industry. And we do feel for your industry in particular in terms of the impacts it's had on you. We thank you for your participation, your cooperation, and for the sacrifices you're making to help cope with this pandemic. We certainly will work harder, and especially in those contexts where it is possible to ask governments to share more risk information with your institutions.
Only to add to that there does need to be a process in place to identify contacts of confirmed cases. And in many situations, in many cities, in many governments, there is a process in place. If you haven't been contacted as a known contact of a confirmed case, contact your local Department of Health. Contact your local ministry or your GP and say, I believe I'm a contact, what should I do? There are plans in place to be able to give you the right advice about what to do, if you have symptoms or not, if you should self-quarantine, to determine, what is the nature of the type of contact that you have. These are very practical questions that I get quite often from my friends and family of what should I do. And the best advice that we can give is to contact your local Ministry of Health or Department of Health, depending on where you live. Contact your healthcare provider and give them the circumstance of which you find yourself in. There are measures that are in place to help you know what the next steps you should take.
Yeah, and just on that, Maria, that depends on countries having in place a strategy that is still focused on giving that advice to contacts, on detecting cases. And it would be most unfortunate if countries have abandoned that as part of their comprehensive strategy.
Thank you very much. As we are getting nearer the end, maybe we can call on our guest online from UN Foundation. If we can connect with Ms. Cousins. So if you can just tell us a little bit more about the Solidarity Response Fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to do so. We know we are facing a crisis that is unprecedented in any of our lifetimes with coronavirus. But we have also seen an extraordinary outpouring of interest from all sectors to help. We wanted to provide a fast, efficient vehicle for companies, philanthropies, even individuals to be able to do so, to help WHO's frontline efforts in this fight. You said earlier we are all in this together, and we wanted to find a vehicle to allow all sectors to help solve it together. That's what the COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund is all about. Let me give you the URL while we have a few moments. It is at www.covid19responsefund.org. That's www.covid19responsefund.org. We can take online donations from anywhere in the world. People can also send checks and wire transfers from anywhere in the world to the fund through the UN Foundation. There's an email for that, COVID-19fund@unfoundation.org. That's COVID-19@unfoundation.org. If you check the website, you will also find information about our European partners.
the Swiss Philanthropy Foundation, and Transnational Giving Europe, which provide additional vehicles for European donors and contributors. We're very grateful to be able to work so closely with our partners at WHO throughout the UN system, and of course with the Swiss Philanthropy Foundation in this effort. And we are humbled by the ability to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. This was Elizabeth Cousins, who is a CEO and President of United Nations Foundation. We hope that your call will be heard by the people from all over the world. And maybe we will go to the last question before we close. Let's try to take Sarah from TVIX. Sarah, can you hear us? Hello, do we have Sarah from TVIX online? If not, then we will conclude here. Well, we have a little bit of technical problems. We will conclude here. I will thank our guests here in WHO operation room. I also thank our guest online, and we will send you the audio file from this briefing. We have sent you already the press release regarding the launch of COVID-19 Solidarity Response Fund. We wish you a very nice weekend, and we will see you on Monday, Dr. Tedros, I hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tariq. Thank you all.
Come on, daylight's burning. How are you?